Hey everyone, welcome to Michigan Out of Doors. I'm Jenny Olson-Silik, and we've got an all-new show for you this week. We're going to start by taking you out to the squirrel woods, chasing after squirrels with a dog. You won't want to miss that. We had a lot of fun out there in the woods that morning. And Jimmy and Jordan have some other outdoor information for us this week too.
Well, that's right, Jenny. We are pretty excited about that squirrel hunt. Those are always a lot of fun. We're also going to sit down with the DNR on this week's show in our three-part series. This is part 3 of the three-part series, talking chronic wasting disease and deer management. You won't want to miss that. I think we're also going to have time for a bragging board on this week's show as well. Make sure you stay tuned. Lots of good stuff. I'm Jimmy Gretzinger. It's time for Michigan Out of Doors.
From the first spring rains to the soft summer breeze, dancing on the pine forest floor, the autumn colors catch your eyes. Here come the crystal winter skies. It's Michigan, Michigan out of doors.
What a beautiful day in the woods.
Someday our children all will see this is their finest legacy, the wonder and the love of Michigan. As the wind comes whispering through the trees, the sweet smell of nature's in the air. From the Great Lakes to the quiet stream, shining like a sportsman's dream, it's a love of Michigan we all share.
Michigan Out of Doors is presented by Country Smokehouse, a sportsman's destination since 1988. Featuring varieties of homemade sausage, jerky, brats, and gourmet entrees. Holiday gift boxes can be assembled in-store or online. Details at countrysmokehouse.com. By AnglerQuest Pontoons, a mid-Michigan company building boats for fishermen by fishermen. AnglerQuest Pontoons are designed for comfort and functionality. On the web at anglerquestpontoons.com. By the Michigan Fly Fishing Club, presenting this year's 2019 Midwest Fly Fishing Expo. The expo is coming to Metro Detroit on March 9th and 10th at the Sports and Expo Center at Macomb Community College. For more information and details, MidwestFlyFishingExpo.com.
Soaking in the rich tradition of Michigan hunting for over 30 years, Vanguard is proud to sponsor our friends at Michigan Out of Doors TV.
We're going to do a squirrel hunt. At our last game to enter into church, we gave away a couple squirrel hunts, and Elaine and Jim Marl won one of those squirrel hunts, and we've had it planned for a while. We're going to get them out and see if we can knock out some bushy tails out of the tree today. We got Rusty. I got Rusty right before he was a year old. He'll soon be 7, and he's a pretty good dog. We got some challenging conditions, a little cold, a little windy, but that's okay. We'll see how we'll do. And we'll cast him out, and he knows what to do. He'll go toward the woods, and he'll see or hear or smell a squirrel, and he'll put it up the tree, and he'll bark. And then we'll go in, and a lot of us have hunted over the years where there's maybe 2 hunters doing the squirrels, and you have the shooter, and you have someone go around the tree and turn it. We'll do the same thing when Rusty trees a squirrel. We'll walk in, and we'll have the shooter, and we'll walk around the tree and turn a squirrel, and hopefully whoever's on the gun can eventually knock the squirrel out.
He's a feist and cur mix, and he's got the long legs, he's quick, his ears, he can hear really well, he sees well, and he uses his nose to finish things off. So to Chad and I, he's a perfect squirrel dog. Now some of the competition guys you may have seen on the tree, and those of you that are coon hunters and other squirrel hunters, you may say, well gee, sometimes he comes off the tree a little bit. Actually, we find that exciting. He's always looking for other squirrels. And nearly every hunt out, he will split tree. I've seen him tree as many as 3 individual trees within 30, 40 yards and have a squirrel up every one of them. To us, we enjoy it because we don't competition hunt. It's just fun.
Well, Rusty was having fun out here this morning for sure. We started out with a few squirrels escaping into their dens inside the trees, and then Pastor Ron and Jim spotted one that Rusty had treed. Ron's son Chad was hunting with us today, and he dialed in his .22 rifle for the first shot of the day. It's pretty amazing on an overcast day how these squirrels can hide so well in plain sight. Chad's shot hit the mark, and Rusty had the squirrel the moment it hit the ground.
Rusty is doing a good job today.
Come on. Good boy, Rusty.
Nice work.
Yeah. All right, we just need some more like that. Good boy, Rusty. Let's get some more like that.
All right.
Well, I grew up squirrel hunting. I guess since I was just little, Dad used to carry me into the woods and we'd still hunt. But I guess when I was in my teens, we got a squirrel dog, and that's ever since then we've been squirrel hunting.
Rusty had another one treed, and Elaine was on it.
Ready? I don't know where it's at, but.
Okay,
Ooh.
there you go.
Woohoo!
You ready? She goes, "Fire!"
Let's see that thing. Cool. There we go. Good deal.
Right in the head. Been a number of years, but I still got it.
Yes, you do.
The next chunk of woods we hit had Rusty going crazy and the hunters scrambling to get a good shot on a few squirrels who were giving them a run for their money.
Go ahead, shoot him again.
Go again, go again. Get him, Chad.
Oh, nope, I got it there.
Go into the net.
Right here.
Get him, Chad, I don't see him.
No, he's trying to get away. There's two. No, there's one out still, isn't there? Yeah, I'm on the one. He's still out. He's coming down the tree. Come over here, Chad. You can see him. He's on the right side. There's like 3 of them in there.
Here you go.
Woo!
One more up here. One more. Okay, one more right there.
Oh, yeah. Nice shooting! How many squirrels are in that
That's
tree?
a squirrel condo. I think there were 4. Yeah, red and black.
We got 3.
Yep.
I think we got 3.
Man, those little buggers want to run around the tree though, and you got to run to get your open shot.
Wow, look at this. Did we get 2 or 3 out of that tree?
Right. Tag team.
2 out of that tree.
We're tag
Nice.
teaming.
Very cool.
We'd planned to hunt around 3 or 4 of us, and we set this date for squirrel hunt. And the weather has not been very good. We recently had snow, we had rain, freezing rain, and we wondered whether we'll even get the squirrel hunt in. But fortunately, this morning we come out a little windy, not ideal conditions, but Rusty did his job. We had a great day, and the shooters all did good. We had a lot of fun.
Who's bringing home the dinner?
Yeah, killer wife over there.
So the 2 of you won the squirrel hunt with Pastor Ron and his dog, right?
Yep.
Okay.
Actually, I think the certificate has my name on it.
So yeah, how'd that work out? Did you guys draw straws this morning?
No, I had no clue. But it's like anything, she always is the one that wants to kill all the stuff. So
All right.
I'm good with it.
I think she's only got 2 more, and she's got to hand the gun over.
Well, that's true. That's what my only hope probably for today.
Yeah, I started squirrel hunting in West Virginia when I was just a kid. My dad used to take me. We always had a squirrel dog. As I got a little older, actually, not even that old, I would oftentimes just take the dog myself, put it on a bicycle, and we'd trudge through the Appalachian Mountains in southern West Virginia, and enjoyed hunting squirrels with the dog. And when I came to Michigan, I've continued that. I've had a squirrel dog for a long time. We got a good one now. And you'll either see that or already seen it, that Rusty's a good dog and we enjoy hunting. And the other thing that we're able to do is take other people out. And it's just a lot of fun, and I enjoy that.
Perfect shot from over here. Hit him again.
Whoa!
Wow.
Went in the hole.
No.
Oh, get him, Rusty, get him. You got him. Nice job. Yeah.
He was trying to get in this hole.
Yep. Nice job.
Got my limit, number 5.
That's number 5.
I don't know if you caught him, but he fell 50 feet. He looked like a flying squirrel. We thought he was going in the hole, but nope.
All right, so you're handing over the gun? Is that the
Yes,
story?
I am. Yes, it's going to my husband now. So
All right.
here we go.
He finally gets to hunt.
Oh, geez, thanks.
Well, it's been since, I think 96 since I've shot not that gun, but squirrel hunted. So now I would like to go rabbit hunting, coyote hunting, any kind of hunting of any kind of critters that is legal, because it is a whole lot of fun.
You forgotten?
I did forget, and I like it.
Jim and Elaine own MJC Archery Shop in Royal Oak and don't find much time to hunt small game with firearms, but today they were reconnecting with that pastime. Elaine was on cloud 9 with her daily limit of squirrels, and after a quick break, Rusty found a squirrel for Jim, too.
Yeah, baby.
Nice.
All right.
I guess that gun works for you too.
Yeah, heck yeah. It's a sweet gun.
Nice gray
Oh, it's pretty. That's a pretty one, isn't it? Yeah.
Very cool.
Only down 4.
You'll
At
catch
least
up.
I'm 1 for 1.
That's right. Nice shooting.
Well,
That's
thanks.
great. It's not.
You see
Yeah,
that?
I see
you
it.
see his tail? That little knot right there? On
That
his
dead limb.
branch, right? That's his tail, right?
right on the left side of the top of the
Yeah.
knot.
No, I don't.
Jim was filling up his game bag now, too, and with a pass through one more piece of woods, Ron and Chad followed Rusty to a treed squirrel, while Jim stayed at a different tree where he had spotted a couple. He was waiting for Rusty to work over and find them before he shot.
Well, I think that we've got a couple squirrels treed. I see one maybe about 25 feet up in the tree, and then the other one is like way, way up there. We might be able to get a double header here. That would be pretty cool. Yeah.
Oh, he's not way up high. He's too high. He's, all the way to the top now. Good boy.
Oh, he's leaping around.
The last few minutes of our hunt were full of excitement. This one tree had at least 4 squirrels in it, and they were giving Jim a run for his money with their shifty moves, but he was able to take a couple.
What just happened? That was
Hey,
like
look at that. Well, we got a
squirrel tree.
Yep, we got a triple here, and we actually got a single just over 40, 50 yards. The dog had, and he came over and actually put 3 up this tree. So
Nice.
there we go.
All right.
Good day. Good shooting, team.
What a great morning in the woods. Elaine and Chad ended up with their limits of 5 each, and Jim got a few too before we called it a day. All in all, it was another good day of hunting for Pastor Ron and his squirrel dog Rusty, and that's what it's all about here in Michigan's Out of Doors.
Well, if you ever get a chance to do a little squirrel hunting with a good squirrel hunting dog, make sure you jump at the chance. That is a ton of fun. What we're going to do now is sit down with the DNR. This is our 3rd part in a 3-part series on chronic wasting disease and deer management. Definitely a hot topic here in the state of Michigan. And we're going to ask Chad Stewart from the DNR some of the questions that you have been asking us about deer management here in the great state of Michigan. This one I thought was kind of an interesting. This is Jim Peck asked this. It says, it's been 20 years in the Northeast Lower Peninsula that we have had TB. Why should we trust the DNR in getting rid of CWD if we can't even get rid of TB? What have we learned from that? Is that what do you?
Yeah, and that's a great question. I will point out some of the history with TB, that when we first started finding it in the mid 1990s, we were finding it at fairly high percentages, like 3, 4, 5% of our deer. And within short order, we had knocked that down to below 2%. And at some point, I think it even dipped below 1%. So some of our early management actions actually did help.
Do you feel it's contained? Like, are you guys happy with where it's at as far as the percentage of deer? Or?
You're never happy with where it's at with TB, because that, first of all, TB is a bacteria. There's legitimately, you can eradicate deer. Eradicate the disease of TB by removing enough deer. You can get those positive, because that's a density-dependent disease.
And what do you say, and I'm not sure what you can, but I'll ask it anyways, to those, I've been up there, we spent a lot of time in that part of the state, as we do a lot of the parts of the state, and I've been in bars and restaurants and hotels that are saying, would you please tell people to come back up here, because we still have huntable deer populations, but the population is so low that those businesses, those restaurants, all the different things, they have really taken a sustained hit because of management practices in that part of the state. What do you say to those folks?
Yeah, and that's why there's so many eyes on the deer program right now in Michigan, and that's why these diseases are really important because we don't want that to continue escalating throughout the state, you know, and having challenges with our deer herd that we can't reverse. So that's why we're taking some different approaches. We're working with landowners up there. I think that what they tried maybe 20 years ago had an impact. It just didn't have the staying power to sustain that impact, and our approach hasn't necessarily evolved over time. We're trying some new interesting things up there, and I think that there's some promise with that, but time will tell, as anything else.
Okay. All right. A couple more questions here before we let you go. Adam Lewis wants to know, when will we have mandatory reporting of harvests, either online or on the phone, like so many other states have?
Yeah, so that's a good question. And I will say that within a couple years, I can see that actually happening. I really do. Do I think it's necessary to manage our deer herd? No, I don't. Because we send out a survey every year that gives us a confidence interval around an estimate. Whether it's a countywide estimate or a statewide estimate, we have a confidence interval around that.
And what does that mean? What is, to Joe Blow, when you're like, well, how can you send out a survey and expect to know the same as people calling in?
Yeah, it's just like doing a survey at your local church function and ask people what time they ate dinner, and trying to get you only have to ask so many people before you get a really good idea that when most people eat dinner type thing. It's all based on a survey and statistics. You don't have to ask everybody the same question. You only have to ask a few to paint the whole picture, given that there's what we call a confidence interval, which is basically a plus or minus, you know, around that estimate.
And you feel those numbers are pretty good even countywide, or is it more regional? Okay.
Countywide, it gets a little bit broader because you're dealing with smaller sample size, but once you start looking at sample sizes for the entire state, we have a pretty good idea of total number of deer harvested, total number of deer harvested within a region, efforts. We have really good estimates for any of that stuff. When you go to a mandatory check approach, what you're doing is getting a minimum count. So everybody who's willing to report can do that, but we know that 100% of people will not report. And the trick is to try to estimate how many people are not reporting. And
so you feel the number of people so with the end number that you get, whether from survey or from mandatory call it in, you feel it's pretty similar?
We would continue our survey approach to correct for the mandatory piece. What's great about the mandatory piece is we would have a much better estimate on how many deer were taken right now, right as the hunting season concluded. Okay. Whereas currently it takes several months to churn through that statistical process to come up with an estimate. I do think we know that hunters like this idea. They know, I think it gives them a little bit more confidence that we're actually tallying things. Okay. And we've gone through some recent licensed vendor changes that we can now incorporate that into our system. So I think those discussions are happening, they're ongoing. I wouldn't be surprised within a couple years that does come up. But again, I don't think it's necessary. We have a really good system in place right now, and we're going to continue that system. It would just be for more of a timely response to what happened in the deer season.
Can you eat, this is George Brannon wants to know, can you eat a deer with CWD?
Can you eat it? Yes. Is it advised to eat it? No. So we are wildlife professionals. I'm a wildlife biologist. I'm not a public health person. So we tend to rely on the recommendations from people with public health backgrounds. So the Centers for Disease Control and Prevention, the World Health Organization, they recommend that if your animal has chronic wasting disease, that you do not consume that animal.
But we know that there's never been a documented case of someone eating an infected deer and contracting the human version of that disease.
Correct. There's no individual cases of it. They've looked at population level impacts at like Wyoming, where CWD is much higher than anywhere else in the country. Yeah. And there's no higher case of human incidences of what would be we'll call a variant Creutzfeldt-Jakob disease. Yeah. It doesn't appear to have a defined link. That being said, we don't know if there truly is one. We don't know what the future would hold. And this is in the same family or category of diseases as mad cow disease. So it's not the same, but it's very close.
Well, I think that's the fear that is being perpetuated out there, is that, well, if you don't get your deer checked, you shouldn't eat it. And that's having a lot, I mean, I've talked to a lot of hunters that have said, well, my wife's not going to eat the deer because I didn't get it tested. Yeah. But it is, we have no case where that has proven to be a problem.
That's correct.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, and last question for you. This one comes from a Ted Nugent. He's a guitar player here in the state of Michigan. Yes. He says that Buicks kill more deer than CWD. The DNR can't be trusted. There was only 58 deer in Michigan that have died from CWD, but the DNR has slaughtered thousands. Who is the enemy of the deer hunter? And you would say to that?
So a lot of our testing is based on what's structured around our hunting season. So it's we do engage with sharpshooting around a very localized, confined area. You're talking about maybe hundreds of deer over the course of several years across the entire state that's tested for CWD. It's not a lot. Most of the deer that are being tested are coming from animals that are going to be harvested anyway by hunters. So we're relying on hunters for support for our surveillance and management program. So these deer are getting managed by the hunters that are pulling the strings or the triggers already. It's true. I don't know how many Buicks are on the road, but there are more car deer accidents than animals that have tested for CWD. And I would say to that, the car deer accidents are going to continue in Michigan for the foreseeable future. As long as there's deer or cars, that's going to be a trend that's going to continue. CWD tends to escalate over time. Okay. And that's something that we feel that we have a little bit more control over, or want more control over, and that's why we're trying to feel like this is an important topic that we need to focus on.
Okay, so just to kind of summarize, just so I can kind of get my head around it. So we feel, or the DNR feels, that even though currently chronic wasting disease is not affecting that many deer, not killing that many deer, that the baiting ban, the shooting extra deer, the different measures that you put in place is worth the public outcry because of the potential harm down the road.
Correct. Yeah, we always have our eye on the future. So even in our current year, it's not necessarily what is happening this year. It's what are the impacts or implications down the road. Okay. And that's what we're constantly looking forward to. So yeah, if it can stay at the current level where it's at, I don't think we're having this discussion. But the data from other states shows that it doesn't stay at that level. So.
Well, I appreciate your time, and I know we didn't get to all the questions, but we got to quite a few, so thank you to all that sent. People are going to be mad at me because I didn't ask their question, and people are going to be mad at you because of maybe how you answered or didn't answer, but I sure appreciate your time.
Thanks,
so,
Jimmy.
Thanks, Chad. Well, there you go. That is our third part in our three-part series on chronic wasting disease and deer management here in the great state of Michigan. That is something that we'll obviously be talking about for years and years to come. And wherever you are on the spectrum, whether you think the DNR is doing a terrible job or they're doing a great job, make sure that you get out and enjoy our natural resources. It is a privilege here in the state of Michigan to hunt and fish. Take advantage of it every chance you get.
When I wander far away, a dream stays with me night and day. It's the road that leads to my home state. I am a Michigan man. Changing seasons paint the scene like rainbow trout in a hidden stream. The white-tailed deer in the tall pine trees. I am a Michigan man. I am a Michigan man. Ask where I'm from and I'll show you my hands. Lord above, I love this land. I am a Michigan man. From the Keweenaw down to St. Joe, Kalamazoo, east to Monroe, to St. Marie and back again. I am a Michigan man. I am a Michigan man. Ask where I'm from and I'll show you my hands. Lord above, I love this land. I am a Michigan man. Ah, Michigami, win when it's stung. I say I'm say when in wegam when manani I'm not my Anishnavik Anishnavik.
Thanks for joining us this week for Michigan Out of Doors. Make sure you stick around over the next few weeks. We have a lot of exciting things in store for you. Ice fishing season is really in full swing now. We've got a lot of fun fishing stories to bring you. We'll check in and see how the sturgeon spearing season went up in Black Lake. You won't want to miss that. If you'd like to see where we are or where we're headed next, you can always check us out online.
Well, that's right, Jenny. Online is a great way to kind of keep tabs on us here at Michigan Out of Doors. Our website is michiganoutofdoorstv.com. We have full episodes of the show there every week. We're also on most of the social media sites if you want to see what we're up to on a more day-to-day basis. And if you're ever on YouTube, you can actually subscribe to our channel there and get an email every time we post something new. Lots of good stuff coming over the next several weeks. This weather has been a little crazy. It was super cold and then it got super warm and now everything's kind of refreezing. So we have lots of different ice fishing things planned. We'll see which ones actually pan out. Make sure you join us next week right here on your PBS station.
Michigan Out of Doors is presented by Greenstone Farm Credit Services, making recreational land ownership possible across Michigan and northeast Wisconsin. Begin your land financing journey at one of Greenstone's 37 locations or greenstonefcs.com. By Pictured Rocks Boat Cruises of Munising, exploring Lake Superior's Pictured Rocks National Lakeshore. With its sandstone cliffs, caves, waterfalls, and lighthouses, Pictured Rocks Boat Cruise is on the web at picturedrocks.com. By Showspan, producing consumer shows including Outdoorama February 28th through March 3rd at Novi's Suburban Showplace. The show features tackle, trips, boats, outfitters, wildlife encounters, and of course, Big Buck Night. That's Outdoorama in Novi, February 28th through March 3rd.
When I wander far away, a dream stays with me night and day. It's the road that leads to my home state. I am a Michigan man. Changing seasons paint the scene like rain.